The Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, would you please call the roll?
Senators Bridges, Cook, Corum, Court, Crowder, Danielson, Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Foot,
Excuse.
Gardner, Janal, Gonzalez, Hill, Heisey, Holbert, Lee, Lundeen, Marble, Moreno, Pedersen, Priola, Rankin, Rodriguez, Scott,
Excuse.
Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Story, Tate, Todd, Williams, Winter, Woodward, Zenzinger. Mr. President.
Here. With 33 present, 0 absent, and 2 excused, we have a quorum. Senator Winter, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Mr. President. Guests and members, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the Journal. Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the Journal of Wednesday, February 27th, 2019 be dispensed with, and that the Journal be approved. I don't know what the corrections are the Secretary made, but let's approve it according to the corrections made by the Secretary. Thank you.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Committee reports.
February 27, 2019, Committee on Education. After consideration of Mayor's Committee is following House Bill 1152 be referred to Committee to hold a favorable recommendation.
Senate Services.
Correctly printed, Senate Bill 167, 168, 169, correctly engrossed. Senate Bill 88, correctly re-engrossed. Senate Bill 97, correctly re-revised. House Bill 1044, 1059, 1100, correctly enrolled. Senate Bill 111, 113.
Introduction of bills.
Senate Bill 170 by Senators Rodriguez and Tate and Representative Harrod concerning an inquiry into the college applicant's non-academic conduct prior to admission.
Education. Third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to Senate Bill 088?
Senate Bill 88 by Senator Gardner and Representative Tipper concerning the adoption of the revised Uniform Unclaimed Property Act.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. I move Senate Bill 88 and request permission to offer the dread third reading amendment.
Senator Gardner, would you please explain the need for the third reading amendment?
Mr. President, when I attended the Air Force Academy, they taught me that there were three answers, well, four answers to questions. Yes, sir, no, sir, no excuse, sir, and sir, I do not know. Could ask the distinguished senator from Colorado Springs. This one would fall under the heading of no excuse, sir. In that yesterday during second reading, I had previously committed to the Treasurer's Office to offer an amendment which I believed was subsumed in the two amendments that I offered. It was not, and they contacted me almost immediately and called that to my attention. L016, which I'm asking permission to offer, deals with an issue in the unclaimed property structure.
Senator Gardner, if we could, let's vote first on the permission, and then we could move to the technicality of the amendment. The question before the body is to grant permission to Senator Gardner's request to offer a third reading amendment. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and permission is granted. Will the clerk please read the title to Amendment L016?
Amendment L016, Senate Bill 80 by Senator Gardner, amending Gross Bill page 82, line 25 to strike.
Senator Gardner, please.
Thank you. And my apologies, Mr. President. Over in the other chamber, they make you explain the amendment completely before they'll even let you offer it, and then they'll make you explain it again. So, thank you. Members, as I was saying, this amendment deals with the unclaimed property structure in that there are actually finders out there, people who will go and help you find your property. Now, they're not going to help you find your gift card, but they'll help you find your multi-million-dollar life insurance policy that you're a beneficiary of. And there is the potential for fraud there, and the Treasurer's Office wanted to make sure that they were not required to disclose information to the finders, but that the finders were the ones who did that. So what this is an addition of provisions in these finder contracts that among other things say, one, you can go get this property yourself. We'll do it for you, but you need to know that you could go to the treasurer directly. And two, the treasurer doesn't have to tell people about personal information of the eventual owners of the unclaimed property. And I move L016.
It now being properly moved. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L016. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 2 excuse, Amendment L016 is adopted. Senator Gardner, to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 88 as amended on third reading.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 088? Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, I just want to mention why I'm voting no. It's maybe an esoteric point, but if you heard my colleague from Colorado Springs mention bounty hunters, commissions basically to go after unclaimed property, it strikes me, should the state be involved in more than just facilitating folks finding their unclaimed property? Should the state have bounty hunters going out and finding unclaimed property, ultimately possibly just for the benefit of the state? If you think about this, a life insurance policy with maybe lost beneficiaries, maybe they're hiding out in the deep woods of southern Tennessee somewhere, hard to find. Bounty hunter finds unclaimed property where the insured was in Colorado, and goes and gets the money from the insured, where it could have remained with the insurance company on their balance sheet to the benefit of other insureds, right? So if the insurance company keeps the asset and it has a return, then it's still working for the benefit of the other insureds until the property is claimed by the actual beneficiaries. The bounty hunter brings it back to Colorado. It goes on unclaimed property trust fund. It's never claimed, I said, because the beneficiaries are hiding out somewhere in a compound. It strikes me that the state of Tennessee in that example would have a better claim to that money because that's where the beneficiaries are versus Colorado. Again, it's a weird little deal there, but ultimately, I just don't think that the state should be involved in encouraging bounty hunting. I just think the state should be merely facilitating folks' ability to find their own unclaimed property, and hence my no vote today. Thank you, colleagues.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I appreciate my Senate colleagues' elucidation of that issue. It is the issue that we address here, which is there is unclaimed property in the hands of a holder, a life insurance company that has not found a beneficiary, is not making any particular effort to find the beneficiary. The Colorado State Treasurer identifies that life insurance policy as being one that was taken out by a resident of Colorado, somebody from Denver or Colorado Springs or you name it, and says, one of our missions is to reunite people with that property, and we're going to publicly list it. We're going to publicly list it, so we're going to take that money in, and sure enough, there is a benefit to the state of Colorado because that money is in our coffers. But they also publicly list that life insurance policy by its owner, and then that owner's relatives, potential beneficiaries can go online and look, and they don't have to live in Colorado to do it, and we'll reunite anyone from any state, including Tennessee. So it is a question of who's going to hold the property and who has a mission to return it, and I appreciate the good senator from the free state of Centennial and explaining the process, because it is, it is one of these things. By the way, former Representative Young will give you a tour of the vault down there. Not all of this is money. There are actually interesting artifacts, and so someone might want to be reunited with those. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate your indulgence.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 088. Are there any no votes? Senator Tate. With a vote of 32 ayes, 1 no vote, 0 absent, and 2 excused, Senate Bill 088 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senator Cook. Marble. General order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bill, consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Zenzinger will take the chair.
The committee will come to order, and the court rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title of the bill on general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
House Bill 1063 by our Representatives Crabthorpe and Larson and Senators Gardner and Lee concerning the ability to share information between County Adult Protective Services with County Child Protective Services as well as at-risk adults obtaining their own information.
Majority Leader Fenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the adoption of the bill on the consent calendar, which includes House Bill 1063.
Is there any discussion on the bill on the consent calendar? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All of those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Majority Leader Fenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the committee is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The committee will rise and report. Too late now. Yeah.
Senate will come to order. Senator Zenzinger.
go back and redo it. Okay. But I'll make sure that on the next one.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had a number of bills, the number being 1, under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, committee will place the reports that are in consideration of tax bills being segment thereof makes one recommendation 1. House Bill 1063 pass second reading order revised place calendar for the bringing upon passage.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion for the body is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. House Bill 1063 passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. General order, second reading of bills. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the committee of the whole for the consideration of general order, second reading of bill.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself into the committee of the whole for considerations of general order, second reading of bills, and Senator Zenzinger will take the chair.
The committee will come to order, and the coat rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1042?
House Bill 1042 by Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez and Senator Gonzalez concerning expanding the jurisdiction of the courts for certain vulnerable youth.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1042 on second readings.
That is a proper motion to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am excited and honored to bring 1042 before you. House Bill 1042 would allow state courts to appoint a guardian for certain vulnerable youth over 18. We know that a guardian promotes the long-term well-being and stability of vulnerable youth as they adjust to a new cultural context, language, and educational system, and recover from trauma of abuse, neglect, or abandonment. The benefits of guardianship do not expire when the youth turns 18. A responsible adult in the lives of teenagers helps them keep on the right track. For example, guardians can provide stable housing and support, thus decreasing the likelihood that these vulnerable youth experience homelessness. House Bill 1042 will help Colorado by extending court jurisdiction for SIJS applicants that serves the state's interest in combating human trafficking, preventing the further abuse of youth, decreasing reliance on public resources, and reducing youth homelessness. And with that, Madam Chair, I ask for a favorable vote on House Bill 1042.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You will note from your committee report and journal that the senator from Greeley and I voted no on this bill in committee. You know, under current law, the Colorado courts have the authority to appoint guardians for minors up to 18 years of age. That is because 18 years of age is the majority in Colorado. We allow people to contract, all sorts of things. You are an adult at age 18. We hold you criminally responsible as an adult without question at the age of 18. What this bill does is create a special category of guardianship if that individual is requesting from the court special immigrant juvenile status under federal immigration law. That's certainly available under the age of 18. This is an attempt to extend it to what we consider to be adults. It creates a special category. I understand the intention. I think it's well-intentioned, but when we start creating special categories in this way, we are creating confusion in the law as well as doing exactly that, creating special statuses for some who are within our state. And so I ask for no vote.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I urge an aye vote on House Bill 1042, and let me explain why. If you're a young person and you're trying to navigate the criminal justice system, it is not easy. It's very complex. And what this bill does, it provides guardianship to make sure that there's someone providing that oversight and guidance to make sure that someone doesn't get tripped up and having to experience something because they did not significantly understand the process. This is reasonable and it's good, especially when we're dealing with our young people. As you know, we have an over-incarceration of folks in our prisons, and this will just help a young person kind of understand the procedures to make sure that they're making decisions that are appropriate and that are fair and that are informed. Without that, I think we continue the trend that's currently escalating as it relates to overcrowding and the incarceration of our young people. So members, please vote yes on House Bill 1042.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to clarify that this is not a special exemption. There are many areas already in Colorado statute that do extend jurisdiction past 18, including dependency and neglect and delinquency and adoption. So this is not a special exception. I do want to disavow my colleagues of any fear that we may be breaking new ground here in the state of Colorado. There are already 5 states that who have enacted legislation to extend court jurisdiction for these vulnerable youth through 21. And those include Maryland, California, Washington, Virginia, New York. And there are other states who are considering similar legislation as well. As a matter of fact, in the 2018 Colorado Court of Appeals, in the decision dated October 25th, 2018, and the concerning Lorenzo Zarate Chuta, the Court of Appeals actually referenced the need for this legislation, stating, quote, "Some states have also enacted legislation to extend jurisdiction over immigrant children who fall in the 18 to 21-year-old gap. Colorado has not yet addressed this issue with legislation." Given the call from our Colorado Court of Appeals to close this gap, that is the reason that we're asking for an aye vote on House Bill 1042 today. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1042. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Majority Leader Fenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the committee is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee will back to the reports had on consideration the following tax bills being the second reading thereof makes the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1042 passed second read order revised by the counter for third reading and final passage.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? Senators Sonnenberg, Gardner, Marble, Lundin, Smallwood, Hill, With 27 ayes, 6 no votes, 0 absent, 2 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. House Bill 1042 passed on second reading in order revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Consideration of House amendments to Senate resolutions. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 005?
Senate Joint Resolution 5 by Senator Garcia and Representative Becker concerning the appointment of members of the Colorado Commission on Uniform State Laws.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Joint Resolution 5, which is a joint resolution written by you, Mr. President.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Joint Resolution 005. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, the motion is adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the repassage of Senate Joint Resolution 005.
The motion is for the repassage of Senate Joint Resolution 005. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 005 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Senator Crowder. Signing of bills.
The President has signed Senate Bills 70, 80, 82, and 83.
Committee reports.
February 27, 2019, Committee on State Veterans and Military Affairs, African Consideration, Marriage Committee following Senate Bill 78B, Minutes Plaza, Committee referred to Committee to hold a favorable recommendation. February 27, 2019, Committee on Business, Labor, Technology, African Consideration, Marriage Committee following Senate Bill 77B, Minutes Plaza, so amended, be referred to Committee to hold a favorable recommendation.
Announcements. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, as many of you know, there's going to be a big hearing today with lots of activity. But I want to channel your thoughts to a Southwest Airlines commercial. Want to get away? Come to the Technology Caucus at noon across the street. It's in LSBB at 12 noon to about 1:15, and we're going to be discussing broadband management principles, some of the technological issues underlying open internet conversations. So if you'd like to get away, come across the street and enjoy 12 noon Technology Caucus, LSBB. Thank you.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, if you are on Ag Committee, you will have to get away. We will be meeting across the street this afternoon. Thank you.
Senator Court.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, speaking of across the street, Finance Committee, upon adjournment, let's say 10 of, 10, let's be over at LSBB. We're going to hear 139 and 138. And sponsors of those bills, Senators Cora Moreno, Winter, and Priola, please note that's where we will be for your bills. Thank you.
Further announcements. Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. To the members of Health and Human Services, we will not be meeting over at LSB today. We're going to be meeting 1:30 in the state capitol in room 357. So the sergeants are going to be in charge in reference to navigating all the witness testimony. If you have any questions, I'm available for you. Thank you.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, colleagues. Just a quick reminder, Joint Technology members will not be meeting tomorrow. You have a free afternoon, Friday afternoon, and it will be next Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m. So I know that my good friend from Centennial loves to know that it's early morning meetings, Senator early morning meeting Thursday instead of Friday afternoon for joint technology. Thank you.
Having no further announcements, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate recess until 10 a.m. today.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will stand in a recess until 10:00 today.